Is it 6:30 now? Got a time?
Yep.
Yes.
I will call the meeting to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all.
Is DeForest here? Oh, no, Chauncey's here. Take the minutes. Okay, sorry. For the record, Joe's online, okay? And then I haven't seen Mike yet, but if he comes on, we'll note that. But we do have a quorum. Are there comments from the board members on topics not on the agenda? Kelly, nothing? Paul?
No.
Joe, do you have anything not on the agenda?
All good.
Okay. Brandon, do you have anything from the town manager on topics not on the agenda?
I have a couple of things. I talked to Floanne today. She's curious to know whether there's going to be any discussion on town meeting, if we're going to have it virtual or if we're going to have it in person. Additionally, the town clerk notified me that we need to add the Weathersfield the West Weathersfield Volunteer Fire Department onto a floor boat for an exemption on their taxes. She said this pops up every so often, and this is the year that it needs to happen.
Can you note that in the minutes for next meeting, please? Because I don't think it's like every so often. I think it's pretty structured, and I recall churches or the Grange, it's 5 years. So
Okay.
it's not just hit or miss. There's a timetable somewhere. So can we note that for the, is it the 20th? I don't have a calendar. Is that our next meeting, the 20th?
Yes, it is. It's on the 20th. The reason this is not the case with the Scutney Fire Association is because that's state property.
Okay.
So those are my notes.
Nothing else?
That's it.
Okay. I did, so, okay, is there any members of the public that's here that would like to comment on something not on the agenda? I don't know if everybody has a copy of the agenda or not, or is it?
No.
Yep. Do you want
Is he on the agenda?
I would think,
He's not on the agenda.
I think Ross would speak up now, don't you,
Yeah.
Brandon?
Yes, he would.
Yes.
You've all got the letter, but we're looking at the opportunity of purchasing winter wine and spirit. We would like to incorporate it into our new building with fireside beverage here in town. Just, we're looking for some sort of an approval, not approval, just so we don't buy this and then find out you're not going to allow liquor in this, in a Scutney or whatever. That's a beer store. Liquor is just a different thing.
Okay, we have had, and we do have, all kinds of licenses dealing with any kind of alcohol. So I suggest that you go to the town clerk, because it starts there, and then,
Right, I'm not looking to get a license now because I have a license.
okay,
May 1st is when the licenses come up, which is probably about the time our building's going to be done. But what I'm saying is I want to know where I stand before I spend the money to buy this and then find out, no, we're not going to go put it in here. It's not a matter of getting a license. I have a second-class license already.
but that's for not this site.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to move down the bottom of the hill. Right now, it's currently in the campground.
I'm saying it probably has to, you have to see the land use administrator. Help me out, Brandon. It doesn't come to us right away. So this is a new building and a new enterprise at frankly a different location. It's not, is it contiguous to property that you have now?
Yes.
Okay. But it's a different use. So it's a commercial sale. I'm not saying no or yes, so I think you'd have to go to land use to find out the zoning.
So I work zone properly.
I think what Ross is just kind of looking for is just a feel of the board as if and when it does come through a normal permit process, is he gonna have the warm fuzzies that we're okay with the structure of that? And, like I said, not necessarily a vote, but,
No, we couldn't vote on it anyway.
Right, it's not an agenda,
It's not in
right.
existence.
right, it's
So
not on the agenda.
I don't feel right answering your question here. I mean, it's a proposal, but I think you've got to go through this. Let me just put it this way. We do have businesses that do serve wine and alcohol and beer. They also sell that commodity. I'm not sure what the status would be though of high octane alcohol, other than a restaurant serving in Weathersfield. I don't have any knowledge of that. They would probably have some state restrictions, maybe, on a store selling that, other than beer. Well, actually, the state from time to time go
It's the
into
same-
Jiffy Marts and everything else.
It's the same license to sell liquor as it is to sell.
Yep, yep.
Like I say,
So, I mean, it's
I
a-
don't wanna buy a liquor store,
No,
and we gotta close by the end of December, the guy's gonna close, and then it becomes a bidding process with the state of Vermont. I just found out about this, 2 weeks ago, when I was on vacation.
yep. You've got to go through land use though, I would think, because it is changing the site a little bit, and I realize that it's an on-5 and so forth, but I think it's premature for us to grant approval of a license that there's no building yet. All I can say is the history that we have had. There are businesses right now, and there are restaurants right now that have these permits.
Right, and I don't think a
Nobody
historic,
in town is selling liquor. This is a state liquor, will be a state liquor.
Right, so that's why I don't have any knowledge of that. They serve it at a restaurant, but not as a commercial outright, you go buy the bottle and you leave the premises. So, I don't even think we have jurisdiction over that type of thing. That's probably regulated by the state.
No, you have to give a permission, and that's why
Oh,
I'm here to get a feel that
Yep.
the board feel like it's something that can happen, because, like I say, I honestly don't want to spend the money, because I don't want to leave it, I don't want to have 2 stores.
yep. Yep, I
um,
don't know what to say.
yeah, I guess myself personally, if I may, I don't have all the information, but with the information that I've got so far, the progress that's going on and what can bring to the town, I think is gonna be good. I mean, you guys have run everything pretty good. I don't think it's gonna be a big thing, but, it is hard to, for other members to say, but, I don't think we've really turned any down in the last handful of years. I mean, everybody's had the normal stuff, but it's just a matter of knowing exactly how everything's gonna go, I think, so. It doesn't look horrible with what I know today, but I don't know all of it yet until the permit and everything goes through and everything else is on it, but.
My guess is it probably I don't think it's a decision that the land use administrator can make unilaterally. I bet you'll see a zoning board hearing set, and then they would ask different things about hours of operation, parking, lighting,
Yeah,
and
and
so
I think,
forth.
and people hearing,
We
yeah.
didn't have to go through any of that with the other, with the store currently.
Yeah, I think this is different, though. That one's in the camp.
Recording in progress.
I don't know how to, it's not, first of all, we are not the ones that, we only grant the license after the fact. So if somebody came to us like Jiffy Mart, or, I'm just using them as an example, and there's a term on that, it's like a year, or it's every year, and then Floanne, the town clerk, prepares that for us to read. Then we ask the police chief if there's any incidents or things, so it goes in stages that way. But here, we don't have a building. We don't have anything to even comment on because it hasn't gone through the zoning process.
Yeah, well, we're zoned to be able to do it, and the building is permitted right now. We've already permitted the building is under construction.
Yeah.
We've already got the permits in place, and our construction started.
Did you get the permit specifically for what you're putting in it?
It was for 4 storefronts, it listed, but it's not gonna change anything. The businesses will still be the same, it'll be just the addition of liquor. It won't be any different on the storefronts of the business names.
I don't know how to, I don't know how to answer the question. I mean,
You follow my frustration, Brandon, just wanted to have some sort of, I go out and spend this money and find out, no, I can't have it here, I gotta leave it in Windsor, and then I don't wanna operate two businesses on liquor. 5 miles, less than 5 miles apart.
So I guess, if I may, what can we do to try to understand? Some of it for me personally too is I don't know the whole process. I don't know what I have.
Part of the state is very simple. I come here, you approve it, and then you send it off to them and they issue my license.
Right, because what,
It has to go in front of the police chief, the fire chief, I think. That's approval, you have to approve it as well?
like,
Have you approved liquor licenses in the past?
No.
So I
maybe it's just.
I have a couple of questions. The first question is, your liquor license is in Windsor right now, is that right? It's in Weathersfield?
That business is, but we have the one in the campground, which is in the sky.
And that, you already have a liquor license
Yeah.
for that?
Which is the same license I have to sell liquor. I have, but I don't have an account with the state to be able to sell their liquor yet. But the license I currently have allows me to sell liquor if I was, as a bid from the state.
And you're still going, and now you're looking to sell liquor on the new property that you're creating,
Correct.
which is a part of running your campground,
Right.
so it's under the same umbrella.
and what the new store you're buying, or looking at buying, the alcohol that you'll get from there to bring in will now be state liquor?
Yeah, when you own a liquor store, you don't own any of the liquor. The state owns all the liquor.
Okay, so it'll be like a state.
I get a percentage of the sale.
Yeah, that's a
we
little
need
bit.
to ask Nate Stearns or somebody, or in land use. We're not this adverse to what this is.
I mean, the select board ultimately approves it at the end.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let me do a little bit more research on it tomorrow. Just give me a call. And give me a reminder, how much time do you have?
At the end of
Well,
December.
we're
he
supposed
said.
to close by 1st of January, but I'm not gonna put a deposit down on it and find out that I can't, we're scheduled to close January 4th if we can make it all happen.
Okay. Yeah, give me a call tomorrow and we'll get on it and we'll figure it out. And we have another meeting on December 20th. So if we can figure out things by then we can put it on the agenda if the select board agrees. And
But we appoint different people to do this. We're the last, like Paul said.
Yeah.
We have other people that determine what is, because I'm just taking everybody at their word. I don't have any maps, I don't have any scenes, I don't have anything, I don't have any
Right.
business plan. I mean, we don't, to me, just sitting here, it's a little different than selling alcohol in a campground. That's just because I don't know anything about it. So for me to say, yeah, go ahead, I mean, that's a lot like, we've never done a permit like that ever.
yeah.
And then somebody either from zoning or planning comes in saying, what is going on with this? Or
Yeah, and I think historically, once those other processes have gone through what they've needed, usually when it gets here, it's already ready, like,
Yeah.
we don't
Right. And
usually
that's-
say
it's all
no, you
simple,
know.
but like I say, this is the
Right.
ending point. I wanna know, once I go through the
Right.
process, which they said is kind of a given, it's just.
Yeah,
And this is on the agenda just now under comments that are not on the agenda, so it's not on the agenda, okay? So you're gonna look into some more research and then try to
Yes.
figure it out. And I'm not guaranteeing anything, I can't at this stage, but it's
The
not
land
on the
use-
agenda.
The land use administrator's in on Wednesday. We're gonna discuss this. I'll chat with him a little bit tomorrow. And we'll come up with the process and determine whether we can get it approved before the end of the month.
Did Mike Todd log on at all, or no?
Yeah, I see him on
Mike
there.
Todd's on now? Okay, good. Is there any other comments on citizens not on the agenda? Barb, nothing? I have one comment, that, there seems to be a number of complaints about highway and, salt my road faster, plow my road faster, do this. I want to just comment to everybody that we're doing the best we can, and that I mean, they're out when they can. We're down a man, and we have another man that's out. And I'm not trying to excuse everything, but the schedule and the storms are what they are. And, I just want everybody, I know there was a 2-hour delay this morning, so I think everything up for it to be winter, and it just happens to be raining out and freezing, which makes it more difficult. So the employment is what it is. Everybody is shorthanded. Brandon went to a town manager meeting. That was the same story everywhere, that both garages, highway garages and offices are all looking for help all over the area. It's nothing new. So with that, let's move to review the minutes of November 29th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from 11/29/2021 with corrections if needed.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, but there does need to be some corrections.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 29th. Any discussion? Now I'll hear corrections if you have them.
First of all, we need to add the rest of the Renaud family that was here. And Ryan and his daughter and whoever the lady was with him, I don't know who she was. Those are people that were present actually here in the building.
Did we have a sign-up sheet for that?
Yes.
We did, so that should be somewhere.
I saw that there was 2 booklets over there. Do you see anything?
This is just from October 18th, and it just says Darren.
There was one right here.
No, there was, so
On the form.
Right on the end of the table here, yeah.
I don't know if you have it, you can email it to us.
Why don't we table the minutes then until the corrections are found of paperwork, then they can go into the
But
record.
We sure, I'd be okay with that, but can we, is there anything else that you?
That's what I found right off. I haven't really,
Okay. I didn't really have anything
I
except
don't
for
think there
the
was
same thing
anything.
you just said.
I think the rest of it was fine,
Yeah,
just to add those other people to it.
yep,
Then it's
okay.
fine.
But we can't approve them
Nope,
really
it's
until we
right.
get the names down. So why don't we just table it until the 12/20?
Yep.
Let's move now to the COVID mask update. Do you want to say anything about this, Brandon?
Everything's been going well at Martin Memorial Hall. Everybody's been wearing their mask. How has the public been taking it?
No complaints. You know, once in a while someone you have to hand them a mask, but it's not a big deal.
Yep, so we are giving away masks for free once they come into the town offices. So it's going a lot better than we originally anticipated.
How many people do you think come in the office on a day? And I'm not talking about people that work here. I'm talking about people that need to do business. Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it so many you can't count? Is it?
It could vary. Like, I don't know, the 10, 15 or so. I mean, that's probably mine, Suzanne. That's not counting Floanne, where she's having her attorneys and stuff come in. But for me and Suzanne, yeah, around 10, 15 or so.
Because part of the goal here is to try to limit access and to try to encourage people to do business without coming here. So, and I'm talking about like, you know, bills and things like that. I mean, we got the drop box out front, even if it's Darren or Ray Stapleton or somebody and he's got to do that, then we drop in the box outside. You don't have to come in, and you call up one of you guys and you know something's in there or something. So we're trying to make this simpler. I don't have all the answers other than I know that both New Hampshire and Vermont seem to be breaking records every day with positive tests. Today I asked Brandon if we could buy, I don't know if I copied everybody on the emails or not, if we could buy some tests. I had heard they were like $30 a piece. I know the price is lowering, and I know that different places give municipalities the test free, but they're about 10 minutes. I think that's the way to go, and I think we may, between he and I, will keep him here, at least some, because it would help us out if somebody did test positive here, particularly on a weekend. You'd know right away that the chain of contact would be in negative, or, which has happened last time, and we had to close. That would save us a lot of time and question, now that they're available.
I think you should ask the nurse at the school and see.
Yep.
'Cause I think they're free.
Yep,
I think the president said that they were supposed to all be free. We shouldn't have to pay for them.
right,
And Emily might be able to help you there.
yep. So but I just threw that out there because of the problem that we had last
Yeah.
time. And then it seems like we're getting more and more information about being able to speed up or to help us out. I think that's about it for that. Let's go to our photos. Were there any other comments about anything to do with masks? Okay. Let's go to photos. They're not in here, Brandon, or on the screen?
I have them on the screen, and it's shared so that the people online can see them as well.
Okay, they're not gonna be on this thing? Okay.
You don't, yeah.
So in our packet, there's been a photo contest going on, and I'm just gonna say only a couple of words, and then I'll let either Olivia or Brandon take over. But I know in our packet, for instance, the photos were there before the weekend, and so you could look at them to get an idea of what you thought or didn't think or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't particularly understand or read it straight through, saying that there were different categories which the photos are kind of attributed to. I just took them as a group, and I looked down to see in my own mind which one I thought was the best out of the whole group, and then kind of ranked them that way. So, but I did see the thing where you guys had categorized them in different, like, groups. So, do you want to start, Brandon? Olivia, I don't know, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Do you have your memo?
Yeah, I have them, I handed out my memo as well, it
Yeah.
has flowers on it. So I put on there these are just the ones, cause I went through them today, and I mean, if you guys wanna go through and give out your ideas, this was just my first, second, and third place, so I can show you on the screen what I picked out.
So your start,
Okay.
for everybody here in the room and everybody online, if you can't see them, whatever, it's gonna start at number 1, and then it's gonna go straight down in order, and I believe there's, 20-something pictures?
There's like 30.
Something.
Oh, you, 30, okay, I didn't know that.
I think there's 32 or 33 or something
Okay.
like
So
that.
that's photo 2, photo 3.
Photo 4.
So, wait a second, now, but when we scroll down here, why doesn't so who's gonna be the judges, the board?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Can I ask a
Good luck.
question?
yeah, go ahead.
When people took these pictures, do they know that they were taking them for certain categories, or did they not have the list of categories they were supposed to be filling?
They did have the list of
They did
categories.
have, okay.
Second question, is that the only one you
Yeah,
had?
for now.
Okay, second question, are all these photos of Weathersfield?
Correct.
Every one of them?
Every one of them.
Okay. Any other questions about anything to do with this? Is it Mike or Joey, you got any questions? Nothing? Okay. Okay, I'll suggest this. So, as we scroll down through here, I want board members to write down the ones that they think may at least get onto their list, okay?
Okay.
Not in any order, but let's see how many pop up to see how many are duplicates. So we gotta run this like a contest. So the 5 of us,
Let me start over then. I only went through
Yep.
3 of them.
Maybe we should have a list of what the categories are we should be filling.
Yes. So the homepage winners, you'll have a first, a second, and a third
Yeah, I
page.
got
and,
that.
and those can be of anything.
Okay, yeah.
All right. From what we could see, there's only 3 of the categories can be filled, and that's farming, fishing, and historic sites.
And there was only one fishing photo.
There was only one fishing
Yeah,
photo.
I saw that one.
Now, the homepage winners are the ones with the cash prizes.
Okay,
So first place is $100. That's sponsored by the town. Second place is $75. That's sponsored by the Weathersfield Proctor Library. And third place is $50, and that's sponsored by Parks and Recreation Commission.
Does this have to be done today?
yes, so. Today?
So it's on a time, they're expecting to find out like in a day or
And
so.
we've made recommendations.
This is a recommendation.
I see that. And then I looked at the sheet, guess what? None of them were mine.
None of them were mine. Okay, so we're at 1 then.
All right, photo number 1.
Okay, here we go. Photo 1. So does everyone online know what they're doing? You're gonna write down the ones that you like, first, second, and third, or just write down the ones you really like? Yes? Cool. So I'm on photo 2. This is photo 3. 4. 5. 6. 7.
Slow down a little bit.
Okay. Peruse.
Let everybody take the picture in. and
Okay, really take it in. 8.
Maybe like count to 10 and then.
Really to 10? Okay. I can't. I don't know if I want to.
You gotta keep counting numbers here. So
Okay. Whoops.
this
Forgot.
is-
Yep.
this
I'm on
one-
10.
You're on 10 now, okay.
Yep. I'm on photo 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24.
Can you go back to 23?
And 23.
Okay. Sorry.
24. 25. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32.
Okay, where is that?
That's down in Weathersfield Bow.
Okay,
That's the church down in Bow.
okay.
I had to ask the same question.
Because I swore that was in Reading.
Yeah, I thought it was, yeah, on Tyson Road. Okay,
Yep.
what number? I want 33. 34. 34.
Okay. How do we wanna do this then? Do we wanna just run around the table here, or when we can do it from Joe and Mike and say, what did they list off as their top, whatever their top 3 is, or to see if we have any repeats around the 5 of us, or what?
Why don't we start with farming as the first category? So these are category pictures. You have farming, fishing, and historic sites. So we would need to choose a winner for those 3 categories.
And if you want me to
Home
flip
page.
to any of the pictures, I can do so.
So I'll go first if I want. For farming, I'll vote for 21,
You want to go to
which is
21?
the tractor. Which is also your recommendation. No, you're the farmer, so I don't know, is there something else that rings a bell?
I'm farming on 23.
You're on 23 for
I'm on
that?
23.
Okay, well, so we got a 21, we got a 23,
Oh, I went with 17.
and you went with 17?
That's a sugar house, right?
I don't know what that is.
Well, it sure looked it to me when I started dropping by. Now, maybe I'm dead wrong, but what's that?
I don't think that's a sugar.
No, it doesn't look like one.
It's like a cabin.
Doesn't have a vapor pipe out of the
Where the
back.
wreath is, those could be doors for putting hay up inside, so.
That's
no.
okay with me. That looks like good enough for me. Well, it wasn't like, there wasn't, in honesty, for farming, although I did see some Jersey cows that were hidden in some brown grass that you can't see. There's not really any barns or any, of a farm. But they won't, yeah, I don't know, I'm just,
And by the way, you don't have to vote for any of these to be on the category photo. If you don't feel like we have a picture that's good enough to be on the farming category photo, then we can skip and move on.
what did you have? We've announced ours.
What did they have?
what
I had
did-
17.
17.
You had 17 for a farm? Okay, can we go to 17? And then we're gonna go to Joey and Mike to see if we, 17?
That's 17.
Okay.
Oh, there's your cows.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
yours.
All right, gotcha.
Joey and Mike, can you chime in here? What do you got down? Do you have any numbers for us? 21.
21.
All right, so that's 2 for 21.
Yeah.
Mike, anything?
Yeah. About the only thing I got out of it so far was the pictures that I disqualified. And those are all the up-close pictures that really don't show Weathersfield and could be taken anywhere. You know, a picture of a flower up close where all you see is the flower. Doesn't, you know, it's pretty, but
Tell them that's not the question.
I understand that.
I think Kelly wrote the flower down. It's a dead giveaway.
Wrong flower. So we're doing farming and it's pretty limited right now. We have 21 and 17 really. I tend to agree. I'm not sure that sugar house that Dave picked out was a sugar house. It looked more like somebody's residence. I don't see the vapor pipe or even a chimney that would indicate a sugar house. So I guess I would go with either 21 or 17 for farming. 17, the picture looks kind of grainy. I mean, it's a nice picture, but to me it looks kind of grainy, almost like it was painted. Down at the bottom, it looks painted, which is kind of goofy, but. What, can I see 21 again? For farming, I'd go with that for me.
21
That's 3 of them. Okay, let's keep moving on,
21 it
because we
is. Yeah.
got bigger fish to fry. What's the next category?
Fishing.
Fishing. There's only one of them.
Did you say there's only one fishing?
Yeah.
Yep,
Number 5 is the only one.
that's the one I want.
Wins by default?
Go to number 5.
Number 5?
Well, let me ask you a question. If,
Oops.
just because we don't see somebody actually fishing, I mean, there were a couple that were some nice streams. And I think we had a picture of the waterfall. But I don't know. I mean, you know, fishing is supposed to be fishing. This is about as close to fishing as anything else. all you got's a fishbowl and the water of the clouds and Stoughton Bomb. There were some other pictures, and I didn't have a pen, so I wasn't writing this down. I was trying to remember stuff. But then you broke it into categories. You screwed me all up.
Me too.
So what are the other pictures that are of like streams? There was one that had a little child down in the left corner, and that one actually looked like there's that one. Yeah, that's the old power dam. But keep going. There was another couple more. That's a good one.
That's the best picture in the whole lot out of 34.
Yeah, I like that.
That one there.
Call the question.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That one there.
Oops.
Whoop. See, and that's another one of those, it's up close. I really like the picture. It's a great picture. That could be in East Africa for all I know.
Does it say on the pictures where they are?
I wish it did.
No.
No.
Oh,
That's why I asked at the very beginning whether they're all in
where's the
Weathersfield.
one with the tractor?
That's number 21.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Nathaniel.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't recognize the barn.
I didn't see a fishbowl on the tractor.
It was on the back.
What is the next category? And let's move along. Huh? We got too much time here.
Historic site,
So for the fishing photo, are we going with photo 5?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so historic sites. Or do you want to just skip? Oh, I guess we can't skip.
I'm personally gonna go with the recommendation of the, church, photo 32.
For what category?
Historic site. No,
Not this one.
32.
Oops, 32.
I went with 29, that covered bridge.
Oh, that's
The coverage bridge.
a good one.
Sorry, what was the number of the coverage?
29 was the bridge, right there, oh, right there.
Yeah, that's that picture too.
Okay, so there's 2 then.
Come up with that one.
29, there's 3.
I
That's
like
enough.
that. I like that one better than the church.
The 3's enough.
For that church.
Three's enough.
Church in the
No,
boat.
seriously, 3's enough. Historic site is
Yep.
29. Next one. Dave. Let's keep it going.
So now we're dealing with homepage winners, so photos that would be included on the homepage. And I will say that the photo would have to be kind of
Oblong,
like this
yep.
size.
Yep,
Because on the homepage, we can't put a square photo or a photo that goes
So
vertically
your
like
favorite one, Dave, it's the wrong shape. Just putting it out there.
So which ones will fit then?
Yeah, okay, see,
that one will.
that's an issue.
that. So photo 7 will work.
Okay, let me go to photo 7. Oops. Oopsies.
Well, no, this isn't right to the people that take the photos.
Right, we
They're gonna
can't.
be discounted because the shape is wrong?
Yeah, no.
And you,
Yeah,
that'll work.
let's just pick a photo and if you gotta make it work or frame it, you gotta do something. Was that a criteria when you took the thing to be a winner?
Well, there
Half
would
of
be
that property
homepage
right there is in
photos,
Springfield,
so
folks.
what's on the homepage
Yeah.
of the website, you know, that-
Can't use that one.
That's. Yeah. Where's the one of the? I think it's up by the Hunter property, isn't it?
Oh, with the horses?
The one with the riding horses?
Wait,
I like 15.
no, it's not for the horses.
Paul
Wait a minute,
says,
back-
oops, Paul says 15.
Back up,
Okay, more.
back up.
That's fine, back up.
No, you're going the wrong way.
Oh, okay.
20's not bad either.
Oops, this way?
Slow down, slow down. That right there, isn't
This one?
is that from the Hunter property?
I have no idea.
Is that the historic? Because if it is, that's actually called out in our historic sites in the town plan.
I can't answer the question.
I don't know.
What is left to do? Some historic site, I thought we picked the covered bridge.
We need to pick
No.
third place, second
We need
place,
to
and
go
first
for
place
second,
winners
third.
For the
overall.
webpage.
Overall,
Yeah, overall. So what's the best photo that everybody likes?
okay.
And the second and then the third?
I already told you mine.
Your number one was
Number
what?
one photo out of the whole bunch is number 19.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I had, whatever it was, I forget what it was.
Oops. Well,
And no, it wasn't that
Well, no,
flower.
that's on my list, 19. It was the other one. It was the reflection off of the whatever piece of granite.
This
Right
one.
there, that one. I don't know what photo that is.
photo 10.
10.
Number
Okay.
10.
Yes.
So there's two for that?
So we're doing number one photo right
Number
now.
one photo.
I also have 10.
Well, there's three, that's
There's
enough.
3. There's number one.
But the covered bridge is pretty good. I think it's
Yeah.
all the way up to 29, that one for whatever, because that's a long shot too.
29 should be number 2.
29.
Yeah, the covered bridge.
There's no sun glare in it either.
Yeah, it's a good picture.
Yeah, it is.
I don't-
That one right there.
I don't wanna lose 20 though, I like 20 myself, but
That's a good picture right there.
that is two. So you want that,
So that's number 2?
Somewhere. I don't know.
1,
What
Two or
did
three.
you say number, Paul?
I like number 20.
If you like 20, let me show what that
That's the one that Mike was thinking was Hunter property, but I like the sun, I like the,
Yeah, that's nice.
so it's hard.
Do we have three that seem to be coming, that keep surfacing around?
Yeah, 20,
Yeah.
19.
Those three photos right there.
Yep,
I think we already picked one.
10.
we did, number one.
Right
So
there.
What's that?
I like this one as number two myself personally.
Okay. 20 is number 2,
I'm okay with that.
and
29
29
is
will
the
be
covered
number
bridge,
3.
number 3.
Yep, number 3.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
You got those, Olivia?
Congratulations, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Wonderful. Okay.
Alrighty. We'll notify them tomorrow.
I think next time we do a photo thing, we send out we can grade each one and know, and then come in with our thing and hand them in, so we don't have to go through all the.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, it's fine.
We'll
We
go
wanna-
another 4 or 5 months before we do this to you again.
Well, these people took a lot of time to take photos and get the right ones and do everything, and I wanted to make sure we give them the right amount of time too, so. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let's go to town manager update.
All right, I have a couple of things. As you know, we've been working with the auditors to complete the FY21 audit, and we should have that draft audit to present to the select board on December 20th. I have a brief FY23 budget discussions timeline. Tonight, we're talking briefly about highway and then police and fire. If anything carries over, it would carry over to the 20th. On the 20th, I'm proposing to submit the entire general fund budget, and considering we'll have the draft audit, we'll have our finalized fund balances on the first meeting in January. We would be, similar to last year, giving you a full budget proposal, a written one with the actual budgets.
Can I ask a quick question on that with the general fund? The library is included in the general fund, correct?
Yep.
And we control the money that goes to the library, correct?
They could go out on a separate article. I will say that we did come to an agreement.
Okay.
And everything looks pretty good to me.
That'll hit for the 20th, I believe, right? The timetable?
Yes.
So tonight's general fund discussion will be what, police and fire?
And
Correct.
highway.
Yeah, but that's not part of the general fund.
Yep.
I was just saying the
Right,
general
general
fund. So
fund,
library's
yep.
coming.
Yep, but
Library's
that's
coming in another meeting.
But in brief, Paul, the library is governed by a library board of trustees.
Yep.
We decided to come together and include the library in the general fund so we wouldn't have a duplication of services. If they decided to separate, we would have duplications of audits and custodians
Right.
and accountants and administrative work and.
Nope,
So-
that's good. That's great. That's good.
And then by no later than January 17th, we need to have everything wrapped up so we can send it over to Doolittle's for printing. and we have the articles to flow in so she can do what she needs to do. The final design has been submitted to Civic CMS and approval has been granted for the fine tuning of the Weathersfield website. That's the homepage and all of the various department and committee and board pages. So that should be going live any time now. As soon as it does, I'll let you guys know. The highway department has attached the wing on the grader. All plow fronts and sanders are attached to the trucks. Maintenance has been completed to the trucks, plows, and wings, and the highway crew has hauled over 4,000 yards of sand. They've already been out several times sanding, and they're well prepared for the winter ahead, with the exception of a staff shortage, but I think we're taking care of that. Martin Memorial Hall repairs. The Martin Memorial Hall Board of Trustees held a meeting on December 1st at 5 p.m. to discuss this room. We've developed a scope of work which includes the removal of the existing carpet on the wall over there and replacing with wainscoting. So if you look at the RFP, page 2, you'll see the scope of work. The general stuff is replacing the base plate and studs in the closet, installing plywood for inside closet walls where the drywall is removed, replacement of drywall on the stairway, tape texture, replace drywall around outside of closet, tape texture, replace drywall on the east wall on the kitchen side over there, reinstall trim on doors, and then those heating covers right there, we're proposing to have the same heating covers there. On wall 1, which is this wall here, remove 106.76 square feet of wallpaper, sand, prime, and paint 122.46 square feet. So I'll just come over here real quick. We're proposing that this is 4 feet of wainscoting or similar material, and that this board gets moved down so that the paint comes down to here. And that's because the laminate comes in 4-foot sections. So this board would actually come down a few inches. That would be around the entire room. On wall 2, which is that wall back there, remove 112 square feet of wallpaper, sand, prime, and paint. Install 132 square feet of wainscoting or similar material. Wall 3, which is that wall there, remove 141 square feet of wallpaper, sand, prime, and paint. Remove 174 square feet of carpet from the wall. Install 166 square feet of wainscoting. Wall 4, which is that wall back there behind the curtains. Same thing, remove 65 square feet of wallpaper, paint 75 square feet, remove 81 square feet of carpet from the wall, and install. Wall 5 is that wall that runs that way, and then wall 6 is right here. So our timeline, we need 30 days for an RFP, so we're proposing to advertise the RFP tomorrow. The pre-bid conference and site visit would be held on December 15th at 10 a.m. Bids would be due no later than January 6th at 12:30 p.m. The public bid opening would take place on January 7th at 10 a.m. and the bid award would be January 10th at the Martin Memorial Hall Board of Trustees meeting. They're proposing to use their reserve fund to finish up the room, considering we use rainy day funds to do the first part of the project. Anybody have any questions on that?
Yes. The work, I didn't read it, but the work is to be completed by like the 28th of February? Or,
18th.
The 18th of February, no later than the 18th of February.
okay, because I'm just more nervous about voting. So, or if we happen to have a town meeting, we want it down here like we did last year, if it's remote, which I'm anticipating.
Yeah.
Next question, what if nobody applies? We just kind of like extend the deadline to do it, but then we'll have to do it after voting, because I don't want to tear apart the room and have wallpaper down and make it worse if nobody's gonna, so I guess we can cross that bridge when we get to it, but everybody needs to understand that contractors don't seem to be that anxious about, they didn't come here that much to do the cleaning, they didn't come that much to do the flooring. I mean, it's just really hard to get anybody to even look. So
it is.
we need to be able to say, okay, we're gonna regroup. If we don't hear anybody coming, then I'm gonna ask for a motion to pass the RFP.
Okay.
But if we don't seem to generate any interest, then I would think that we don't wanna go forward and jeopardize some nightmare of a schedule for voting.
I agree.
With that, can I have a motion to accept the RFP for Martin Hall repairs as printed?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the RFP for the repairs of downstairs here at Martin Hall, as noted by the town manager. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
And the last part of my update tonight is the VOREC grant that we applied for. We've been working with the Chamber of Commerce, the ATA, the town of Ludlow, and the town of Chester on a joint application to obtain a grant for the VOREC program. So the first step in the process was to submit a letter of intent. And basically, what those letters did was it gave the Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation a good idea of how much funding is being requested from municipalities within the state of Vermont. And they basically weeded through them at that point. And the ones that were invited to apply for the full grant received that letter. We received one of those letters, so we moved forward with the grant application. It was submitted on November 29th. There was a letter of support that was signed. It was signed by me, Dave, John Harrison, the Parks and Rec Chair, the Planning Commission Chair, and the Conservation Commission Chair. So that's for nearly $100,000 for town forest work. So I'll keep you updated on that as we move forward.
Any questions about that grant? It's just in partnership with the other towns, pretty self-explanatory. Next up will be the compensation study. Without objection, both fire departments are here.
No.
And if you read the compensation about the different departments, it's really a comprehensive piece of work that Brandon did to compare what each department is doing in town, and we're gonna use that as a resource as we go through whatever department it is, if there are any questions. I don't feel like, with all due respect, I mean, I think we can save time here and just move to the fire departments.
No, I'm good with it. Thank you, Brandon, for putting that together. too.
But I wanna keep that in our next meeting as well, because we're gonna refer to it. I know tonight, for instance, when we get to it, we can come back to it to see if we get to police, if there are any questions about where we stand. So this is a pretty good referral document.
Yeah.
And it was all information that he gathered from VLCT. So, I just want to keep that. So, like, I want this in the next packet as well, okay? Because when we talk about other things that come together with the general fund, or if there are any questions, we can refer to it. Okay, let's move now. We'll just table that for now and just keep it in our packets. Let's go to the Scutney Fire for FY23.
All right, so I've distributed a budget worksheet to everyone, and then there's also a memorandum to support it. The proposed FY23 AVFD budget, and the memo discusses the FY23 AVFD budget and justification for any increases in budget line items. Overall, the budget is increasing from $82,247 to $89,332, which is an 8.61% increase. However, the tax need for this department is increasing by $23,000, or 36.21%. So the reason that's the case is when we signed the contract with the fire departments, and we met with the Scutney, they were still doing a significant amount of fundraising, far more than what was budgeted for FY22 and FY21. They were doing even more. So we actually, I think we decreased that by, I think, 50% in FY22. And then the goal was to fund both departments the same. So take over all the expenses from both fire departments, which we've done with West Weathersfield, and we're proposing to do the same with Scottney this year. So the reason the tax need is higher is because we're eliminating that purple column, AVFD donations, for $11,662. And then there's no sale of assets this year. Last year it was, or this year it was the ladder truck, which Chief Spalding turned over to the town in a select board meeting some meetings ago. The expenditure categories, personnel is increasing by $162. Office expenses are decreasing by $2,350. This is because, again, the town has taken over all finance for the departments, so Scottney no longer has a need for an accountant. Additionally, legal expenses are being reduced by $295 from $300, so they're keeping the line open with $5 in it. And the reason they've decided to do that is because we have a town council for the town. So if the Scottney Fire needs to use town council anytime, we have a discussion. If I feel like it needs to go to town council, then they're welcome to use our town council. Utilities are increasing by $1,901, and that's really something we missed in the FY21 budget, FY22 budget. When we took over all finance, we didn't budget for telephone and internet. So this year we're spending that line in the red and offsetting it, and of course the rising cost of fuel. Communications, we're proposing to increase by $9,400. That's because AVFD needs new pagers. Many of their pagers are 5 to 8 years old, and they cost between $150 to $250 to be repaired. AVFD repairs anywhere between 8 to 10 pagers per year, resulting in $1,200 to $2,000 in repair expenses annually. Additionally, this proposal includes replacing portable radios that are upwards of 20 years old and can't be repaired due to unavailable parts. Reserves, we currently have $32,000 in firefighting equipment and gear, $12,900 in fire protection, water supply construction, and $122,854 in fire apparatus acquisition. Is there anything you'd like to add to that? Ron?
Yeah, you skipped over the vehicle maintenance. Engine one, we put in some money for the repair of engine one, because last year at this time, it was temporarily, the pump was temporarily fixed to get us by for a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever it is.
Any questions? I have one right off the get-go. It says here that there are something to do with radios and pages and everything for $9,400. Shouldn't that be coming out of like a reserve account rather than the FY23 annual? Or it could be?
It could be.
Because it's not really fair to have a piece of long-term, you would hope, long-term equipment out of an annual operating budget. It's not going to be a recurable offense, right?
Mm.
And I will say, you know, you got the same email that I got today
From,
the Department of Homeland
yes,
Security.
yes,
radios.
yes.
So I think we should look into that because
Yes.
we might be able to get away with purchasing radios without using tax dollars.
Okay, just for the board's awareness, we can forward you that email. There's a few things going on. This is above and beyond the ARPA funds. This is from the State Department of Homeland Security, where an email came out and said that a variety of different topics that they would look at of interest to towns. One would be security, things like generators or communications in a very broad sense. So you're right, that would do that. Now, I don't know the timetable for their application, and I don't know the amount of funding that they are, but the ARPA grants have also said that they would honor that kind of an expense. So it doesn't seem to me to have to come out of FY23 tax money, so.
So would you like to first look into that grant, look at the timeline, and then if we can get the grant in a reasonable amount of time, move forward? If we can't, then put a proposal in for reserves?
I think that when I responded to you about that, I said I want to look at that hard about, but I also don't want to limit it to, so I don't know what police needs. So the Homeland Security is pretty broad, so I don't know if Bill needed anything, or the West Side needed anything, or Scottney in combination. We would draft some kind of document, but we need to find out what everybody's thinking rather than jump off. So it's good news for us. It's just good news that we don't have to rely on, I don't think we have to rely on that line item to start a new line item for that one. Any other questions about this? I know for years we've been trying to tell them that they don't need to fundraise, but we do need to pay. So we can take up the issue about the truck, we're going to have to, because the first thing I wrote down was that all departments, and this just happens to be one of them, Scottney, but the West Side or even further, all departments are going to have to start being aware of what we may want to put on for special articles for reserve accounts, if any. Everybody. So I just want to notice the departments in town, whether the fire departments, whether they're police. I'm not specifically saying what department, but as we purchase things, we must recognize that we're taking out of reserves. So the proposal that's coming forward, for instance, with the fire truck, we haven't done it yet, is going to ask for a significant amount to be out of the reserve account. That doesn't come back in unless we vote to put it back in and keep our eye headed downhill in the next few years. And any questions, Joey or Mike, about AVFD FY23 budget? I hope you heard what I said about radios. So that drops it by about 9,000, but I don't know where that would bring. So that would lower the budget increase dramatically, right, Brandon? I mean, that would take away all of the increase, but then you'd lower it only by tax need by a certain amount, so it wouldn't look like that.
15,000, around 14,000, 15,000. 23,747 minus.
Are there any other lines in there? I didn't get through that picking up that would do the same thing. They'd qualify. It doesn't. There's no other lines in there as an expense that qualifies for an above. I guess what I'll call it is above an annual operating expense. If we go ahead and put an article on for the truck, does that mean the payment, it doesn't happen until FY20, the year after?
Yeah, FY24.
4? Okay.
All right, I'll follow up with Darren tomorrow for the fire truck proposal and the communications grant.
Yep. If there's no other questions, we're moving on. Okay, let's move on to Josh, the West Side. Did you have the same thing? Is it just stapled here differently, Brandon? Or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So if you, let me just write a note here. If you go over to the the fourth page. And then I have a memo for this as well. So West Weathersfield Volunteer Fire Department proposes to increase their budget from $73,000 to $96,000, or a 32.56% increase, or a $23,786 tax increase. There's no revenues left for fundraising that I'm aware of, so we do fully fund this department. Expenditures, this proposal includes adding stipends for officers, $15,284 for personnel, and this includes an increase in the fire chief stipend, but then also a decrease in the president's stipend. So on the west side, we have the fire chief as both the fire chief and the president. So we're looking to combine those lines. And then the department proposes stipends for the deputy chief, captain, and lieutenants. This proposal also includes offering members a stipend to attend trainings. I'm going to ask Josh to elaborate a little bit more on that. He has a proposal put together. Office expenses are increasing due to the addition of an emergency reporting software. So this is a $2,400 cost, and Josh and I did get together on this, and it's a really nice piece of software. And basically what that does is it allows them to more efficiently put together reports for the town to review at a later date. We'd like to do something similar with Ascutney, but we started this project with West Weathersfield. Utilities are increasing by 23%. That's due to the rising costs of utilities. Radio repeater fees increased by $500 per department. And this proposal proposes to increase fire equipment, PPE, and hose testing and maintenance by $2,855. And fuel has increased by 11%. Both departments share the same reserve, so it's the same amounts for the last proposal. Josh, do you want to elaborate a little bit on the stipends and the trainings?
Yep, so basically what we proposed last year in our budget discussion was there was $9,000 that we had proposed for training for the members. This is based on 24 trainings a year. We're required 24 hours minimal training to our firefighter 1 certification. So basically what it comes out to, our trainings usually run about 2.5 hours. So each member that participates that evening on whatever it is that we're doing for training will receive $25 for that night for training. And if each member participates for those 24 trainings throughout the year, they'll get a maximum of $375 for the year of the training. And that's based on roughly about 15 members. That's our training program. Officer stipend. We did some, each officer is assigned different duties that they're required to do each month, from throw hydrant testing, CO meters calibration, radio maintenance, radio and pager maintenance, and inventory, SCBAs, maintenance checks. So each officer, as I said, has certain duties that they have to do every month. So the stipend is basically for them to they'll get the stipend at the end of the year with them doing all of the duties that I assigned to them.
And I do just want to say, for both fire department budgets, I need to recalculate workers' compensation, which is going to change the budget. Our workers' compensation has increased, so just a note to keep in the back of your mind. When we submit these budgets again, they'll have the increase for workers' comp.
Are there any questions? Are you all set, Josh? You're done?
Yeah,
Or you got anything else? Okay, go ahead.
For radios and pagers, we only have, I have, $1,500 proposed for Stipend and pagers. So I'm not talking margin there.
So, I'm just gonna tell both of you here now that we need to all get together with Brandon or whatever, because when there's opportunity to make a difference in non-reoccurring annual expenses, that we should take advantage of that with this one grant and everything. So we'll take a look at whatever that is to go. I'm not prepared to do that tonight, but as these things evolve, then we need to make sure our application's in and then see how it goes. Remembering that they have to hook up to Hartford to the dispatch and things like that. But that's all. I briefly wrote down, so I'm trying to get my arms around, I briefly wrote down, and somebody, Brandon, you can correct me if I'm wrong, or somebody else, that when you look at the FY22 budgets of what it cost us as taxes, I quickly added them up, and I came up with $138,000 in taxes. So the budgets for both fire departments were, of course, higher than that, but some other source of revenue displaced that. But the proposal on the table, and I'm within a few dollars here, is being asked to move up to $176,000 from $138,000 as a total in taxes. And that is absent truck payment for that normally would be in there as taxes. So it's something that we need to consider when we put together, this is part of the general fund for the FY23 total budget. How did you fit that into the FY23 general budget? Have you done that yet to fit this number in there, that big of a change?
I did not yet.
Okay, because everybody needs to remember that one penny is $33,000, so, given that, on its surface, on the proposal to what we have done, that's what that means.
So as you go through and as we discuss and propose budgets, if you see a blue column, that means I've already added it into the general fund or the highway fund or the solid waste fund. I still had to calculate workers' comp here and had to do a couple of other things, so you don't see a blue column yet until the next meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry, because I've already found something, and so if you turn, these pages are not numbered, but if you look at the totals, it says truck bond was part of the FY22 budget at 45.8. I don't think no, there isn't. In the proposal, so that makes it a little worse than what I said then. In the proposal of so that is part of the tax need. And it was not a special article, so it was an actual loan payment. So in the proposal for FY2012, there is no truck payment. So the column next door.
And what you'll see is I've broken out a general fire services budget. And the reason I did that is because as we buy a fire truck or we buy something for one of the departments, it's going to show a large increase. And when the truck falls off, it's going to show a big decrease. So to stabilize that, we've separated those items that would cause increases and decreases for things that can't really be controlled, which is purchasing a fire truck every so often and so forth. So you'll see for the general fire services budget, the total expense was $56,000, but in FY23 the total expense for this is $7,600. So there's a $48,000 decrease there. But let's keep in the back of our minds in FY24, there's going to be a truck payment if the article passes. So we just need to be prepared for that.
And then a subsequent payment,
Yep.
which that always is the pain because, you know, these trucks are not cheap, any one of them. Are there any comments about the two proposed budgets? The budget committee is kind of defunct, right? That has fallen by the wayside. Brandon?
But nobody's fault, it's just people got busy and
No, that's okay. I'm just asking
Additionally,
because, you know, there was a lot of people with a lot of interest on the budget committee and we're in the middle of budgets. So it's a fair, and that's okay. You know, at the end of the day, the decisions come to us and then we formulate a general fund and then we go on. Paul, did you have a question?
I have a couple of comments. I did sit in on a budget committee meeting where the fire departments were discussed. And the big three things that stood out to me for differences between the two departments. One of them was the Scutney was 103% for the communications, but we talked about that with the radios and stuff, and then West Weathersfield not needing it. But the other two big ones actually swing the other way for me. When you talk about office expense, I understand that West Weathersfield's got a $2,400 software program, but they're up 70% while Scutney's down 32%. That's a pretty big swing. I was just not sure if $2,400 actually would make you 70% higher. And the second thing, and I brought this up in the budget committee meeting, I'm going to bring it up here. I told Josh I would. You've got personnel is $30,000. Scutney's $6,227. Josh did explain some of that about all these stipends. I guess they don't have a president, so the fire chief will get two salaries or two pays on that. Then everybody that goes to training is going to get money, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but maybe we should look at a Scutney getting $25 a piece for their trainings to make sure, you know, if the reasoning sound for West Weathersfield should be sound for a Scutney too on, you know, having people to show up or whatever, I would assume. And the big thing that I'm asking, I asked this in the budget committee meeting, supplies is $10,000, $10,900. And if I remember right, the comment was made that that's wrong and it should be in a different category, not in personnel.
yeah, we can move it down. We can move it into office expenses, or we can move it.
It just increases that.
It's all the same on our books, but we can move it for parents.
Well, it's not necessarily parents. Is it where it's supposed to be?
It can be there, or it can be in office expenses.
So what's it for? What's the supplies? Personnel supplies.
Consists of fire ground, food supplies, team building morale, batteries, pagers, batteries and pads, fire equipment, portable radios, EMS equipment, phone, fire extension, hazmat supplies, personnel tags. So a lot of that really doesn't pertain to personnel.
And some of it does, so maybe we want to separate the stuff that applies to personnel and then separate the other stuff. Steve Hire made the recommendation to add the supplies into this line. It's easier for booking purposes and made less work for the accountant, but we can separate it out.
Yeah, and we might want to look too. I mean, if we're paying all these people on West Weathersfield for their duties here, maybe we need to pay the Scutney people for their duties also.
Does when I don't know about, well, I know beyond any doubt that whenever I get my selectmen's pay, it's called a stipend, but taxes are taken out and I have to submit my number, social security number as an employee.
Yep.
Is the same true with you guys as the chief? So you're taxed out, so you're considered an employee at that moment for taxes?
Kind of looks like a municipal department over here.
Well, that would, I don't know the answer to that, but once we get in the business of bookkeeping and taxes out, I don't know the relationship by that, so my question would be to ask that of Nate Stearns.
Okay.
Well, I have a comment.
You have a question?
Actually, I gotta start with a question.
Okay.
We took a look at, somebody's got their their audio turned on in that room, I think. It's echoing really bad back here. Is that you, Olivia? No, yours is muted. Anyway, okay. So last year or the year before, I recall taking a look at the call sheets for the two departments. And the Ascutney Fire Department responds to, what, 20, 30, 40% more calls than the West Side does? Do we have those numbers this year, for the past year? How many calls did West Side go to, and how many calls did the Ascutney side go to?
I don't think there's any of that information in front of us, Mike, on the budget.
Okay, I would like those answers. And my comment is a really simple thing that jumps right off the page to me. In knowing what I know from reviewing those sheets in the past, Ascutney does respond to more calls. It's been claimed that that's because they are located near the interstate, where there's a lot more problems up the interstate, and they respond to that stuff. So we have a department that covers 20, 30, or 40% more calls, and their budget is going to be $89,000, and the department that does less, that literally does less, wants like $7,000 more than that department. That for some reason that doesn't line up and make sense to me. My second comment, we dealt with this question on paying personnel last year, and we answered that question, and we reduced that line item in the budget to match the Ascutney Fire Department. I'm personally, I'm not happy to be getting asked the same question again a year later. We already answered the question, and it was no, we're not paying. This is a volunteer department. Do we need to resolve this municipal department issue, Mr. Chairman?
Is that a question?
Yes.
What do you mean by the question?
Well, the previous select board voted to create a municipal department. Do we need to make that go away?
That's not on the agenda, so I would.
I understand that. It's just an opinion.
You're correct. The previous board did do that, and it didn't put any funds attached to it. And I don't think there's been any other action that's been otherwise. For my own comment, to respond to that, the town has navigated its way to relieve both fire departments and assume all of the finances. I think that's been a help to both of them. So while it may not have moved to the complete town takeover, I think that to some extent that's worked for now, unless we have problems in the office with the money part of it. But an issue like that is not on the agenda, and I would prefer it to be on the agenda so that it would have enough time to disperse, and anybody that wanted to comment about it could.
I agree, Dave.
But my comment to that, directly to that, over the last couple of years, I've gotten pretty well acquainted with what they're doing, and for both departments. I've been to both departments. I know the time they put in. I know from listening to the scanner periodically that both groups of people, and different ones at different times, go way beyond what most of us know. And so I don't know how to navigate a way through some form of compensation or something, other than to reach out to other departments who may have a plan that we don't know about that do that. And I don't know whether both of your departments know anybody that does either on-call or something. I know I had just a minute, Paul, I'll get to you. I know I had a neighbor, and he's since moved away, who was a captain of one of the stations in Bridport, Connecticut, and they have, it's Connecticut's biggest department, has 300 men. I'm sure there are women on staff too, many, many engines. And I asked him a bunch of questions about this dating back 2 years ago, and the first words I told him that it was volunteer, both departments and so forth, and he asked me if there was any on-call pay, and I said no, and he said, did I know why? And I said, well, sometimes that creates a whole nother dynamic where the chiefs or the officers that are on scene need to be able to tell somebody to go home. They got a budget rolling around in their head too, all of a sudden. So it's more than just a fire. All of a sudden it's, wait a minute, you know, after the fact, you're starting to think about money in terms of who you want to keep at a scene and not. So it's a hard subject. I know fire departments all through Vermont, probably New Hampshire, wrestle with this all the time. There's no way, I can tell you this, there's no way that Weathersfield, in the position that it's in, could afford a full-time department and paid staff 24/7 as would be required. And that's why we rely on the mutual aid system and that we give and take when we can. I don't know what to add. I wouldn't take that up, what you suggested, Mike, at this meeting. It's too
I
much.
wasn't intending to do that.
It's too much.
Thank you, though.
Yep. Paul's had his hand up.
Yep.
Go ahead, Paul.
I just wanted to clarify too, when I brought this up, I'm not opposed to stipends for the people, Scotney included. That's what I wanted to see, if that's something we wanted to look at. I mean, to your point, exactly, these guys do so much, and that's fine. And the $10,000 for supplies, we talked about making sure it was in the right place, but the biggest thing too was checking to see if once we start paying a lot of these people and they're on an official payroll, how that, so that's where that goes. But stipends, I think, are not included in that kind of a payment thing. I don't know, but Brandon was gonna check on that, because, you know, that, you know, if these guys, if they drive to New York or they go somewhere or something, you know, yeah, I mean, it takes up their whole day, it takes up, you know, somebody's paying gas and all that, so, I mean, $25 is the least you can do. I just wanna make sure we're spreading it across everything, you know, even though there's two departments, we have one town, one group. We wanna try to make that equal.
2 points for that, to directly to that, which is why I asked Brandon a little bit ago to check with Nate Stearns, who may be able to give, that's town council, to be able to give us an opinion about that. But I think that it would fall under the dollar amount maybe that would trigger a no.
Maybe.
But I would also want to know how that system, if you want to call it that, would affect a, whatever the number is, nonprofit. And the relationship between a separate entity and the town. I would need a lot more clarification about that, given the amount of money that's being floated here. So, did I see your question, Joey, or no? No question?
I just wanted to reiterate what Mike said. I mean, we went over this last year, we ran into the same thing, and I'm gonna say the same thing again, as Mike did. If you're gonna pay all your people, no offense, and I understand that once again, that they do a lot, but we're looking at dropping the V from WWVFD here. You're paying your people, and if we're gonna pay one side, we're gonna have to pay the other side. It's only fair. So you're not really looking at a $15,000 bump in that, because you're gonna be looking at a $30,000 bump, because we're gonna have to do it for a Scotney too.
And I want to remind everybody that this is going to fit into the general fund, okay? They're not voted on separately, and so this does affect our next meeting, and I don't expect to decide anything tonight because there's too much information that's a little bit missing. But when we talk about the administration, when we talk about the town clerk's office, when we talk about police, and even if everybody, you know, seems to go up a little, this one's up pretty, the proposal is up pretty good, an amount of money. So if the goal was, early on, that we were going to try to be level, at least, and not have a tax increase, that won't happen when we start putting in the proposals. So That's the difficulty when we take these separately and not kind of as a group. Yep.
And that's true, and I personally, I don't necessarily, as long as I have an explanation for the people when they're voting, if their taxes go up on why, then that's, to me, I mean, no, would it be nice to keep them level? Absolutely, but if the stuff is needed, wherever it is, I'm just saying personally, as long as I can explain it, then I'm okay, but yeah, I don't wanna just go raise everything as much as we can, but some places we might need to, I don't know.
You know, for many meetings that I've ever been to in my life in politics, the danger is like when you have a surplus, which we do, and even if it's small,
And then
and
you
it's
raise.
not big, it's $30,000 or so in the general fund. The danger in that is placing that into a subsequent year's annual operating cost. Because it will reoccur, and that's the danger. You don't like that. Did you have a question, Josh? Go ahead.
So the comment from Mike Todd and Joey of the stipends, I asked that question a year ago, what the process should be to take and bring this back up. We followed that process this year. You as a town signed 2 separate contracts with 2 organizations. We as an organization met with the town manager, brought forth our proposal to the town manager. From there, it went to the one meeting from the budget committee, and now we're sitting here with this meeting. So there's nothing different that I was going to do or our department was going to do any different. And this is the process as you guys explained it last year too.
I don't have a problem with the process. It's in the
I don't
contract,
either.
and you follow
I don't have a
it.
problem with the process either. I do have another comment though. Each and every one of us that's on this board are volunteers. Yes, we're elected, but we volunteered, put our name on a piece of paper. We volunteered to serve the town. We do, as a select board member, we do get a stipend. Paul, I don't know of anybody that does more than you as a volunteer I mean, Dave, you're pretty busy because you're the chair. But Paul gets into a lot of stuff. And, Paul, I really appreciate that. But that's what volunteerism is. You don't have your hand out. And I don't want that to sound bad, Josh. I know you guys work your butts off. And I appreciate you, I really do. But I, like Joey said, I have a problem with the volunteerism turning into a paid position. We're not municipal. You are a 501c3 separate organization. Yes, we control the money now and the funding. A big part of that was so that we would have the ability to oversee these budgets. Anyway, that's just my opinion.
Any other comments? I mean, there's some things to figure out here, and then obviously it'll be back up on the 20th. And I don't know, this is a little bit new to me, the difference when I put it down in black and white. So, I was hopeful that we were gonna be, getting through the budget process entirely between the 20th and then the 6th, I think it is, of January. I'm not sure of the date, the first meeting, but it may take to the second meeting in January, I hope. I guess you're gonna have to fit this together a little bit, Brandon, and then I don't think we need the line items so much anymore for the next meeting, but we do need the stark information about taxes and about the amount to be raised and so forth, and fit it together in context with the general fund, because that's where it is.
Yeah, like I said, I'll have a full general fund budget proposal on the 20th.
As long as you're both here, so do you happen to have the, this is just, were there any other questions about the FY '23 budgets first?
I would just like to ask Brandon, to hold a copy of those spreadsheets for me. I'll pick them up.
We have yours at your table right now and Joe's as well.
Oh, okay. Hold on to them. I'll pick mine up.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have to refresh everybody's memory as far as the potential of the truck goes, do you happen to have the reserve account for what the amount was or no? I don't wanna put you on the
For the
spot.
fire truck?
Yeah,
We have $122,854 in fire apparatus acquisition.
okay, now what's in the other fund?
$32,000.
Okay. So that's where I was hopeful. So is there anything in the west side budget that would fall under the reserve, Josh? Do you, Josh or Brandon, do you have any idea whether there's anything in there that would be considered to be reserve account? Because there is $32,000 in there. I don't know without looking on top of my head. The first thing was when Scutney asked for $9,000 worth of radios.
Is there anything in that personnel?
I'll touch base with Josh tomorrow.
You can look
Since
at
we're
that.
coming back on the 20th, I think
Good.
we can chat about that.
Okay. If there's something in the line item that you can reduce, either through Homeland Security or something, I'm not sure what, let's look at that hard.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, I don't know if anything exists. To me, it's too much to ask for, and without even adding what you were suggesting, so if you wanted to match funds somehow about whether, I mean, we're looking at a $38,000 tax. Yeah. So a difference between year over year, though that's not gonna work, so we need to be able to figure that out. Any other questions about fire for tonight?
Just one more comment.
Go ahead.
And any item with a 102% increase is gonna be a hard sell for me or probably anybody, so I don't want anyone to take this personally about what's gone on here, but you're talking 102% increase on a single line. You just gotta work on that.
Okay, we're all set with fire for tonight. We'll make sure we have it on for the 20th too. Is that the date for the next meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, can we go to, the general fire service budget then, right? Is that the next one then? Or-
Yeah, so
or
that's, I discussed that a little bit. The budget is decreasing from 56,000 to 7,600. That's due to the payoff of the West Side's fire truck. If the plan is to add an article on the ballot to purchase a fire truck for AVFD, we need to be aware that this will increase the budget in FY '24. So that's all I really have for general fire services. I broke out a few other things in general fire services to isolate expenses, and that includes the emergency management. Let's see here. We kept the COVID expenses here, emergency management, fire hydrant electrical service, dry hydrant maintenance, and you will notice that highway services, that anything in the general fund has been removed, and we actually put a stop on that in FY '22.
So, just as a matter of, lining up the budgets, if the fire truck payment is off by $45,000 from taxes, and the proposed budgets seem to be up by $38,000 in taxes, is the overall FY '23 budget going to be down in taxes according to the fire departments?
In accordance with the fire departments?
Well, the budgets, either the general fire services and both departments, because a truck payment is absent.
It is.
So it would go down by $10,000 or $7,000 or $8,000, even with all the add-ons. Because the add-ons that are being proposed are some $38,000, and you're reducing it by a truck payment. Now, don't get me wrong. Put your seatbelts on for FY '24.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I'm just looking at this pure math here. The truck payment goes away, right?
Correct.
And if we accepted the proposal on its face, it would be a difference of $38,000 in taxes. But we wouldn't be paying for a truck because it got paid for.
Hold on a second.
But Dave, that comes down to what you said about, you know, like when you take money from a grant and apply it to something that's going to be ongoing. You know,
I get
you're
it.
gonna have to be-
Get ready to put your seatbelt on for FY '24.
That's exactly right.
I'm not denying that, I'm just trying to put this down, line it up the way it lines up, that's all.
Okay, so last year,
We're,
Happened.
so last year we spent 194, 683.
okay,
And this year, the proposal is 26.
you're all doing this by pen, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but I was doing it in my head and then quickly, so I didn't do it to the dollar at all.
It's actually, it's not a decrease, so 89,332 plus 96,938, 186,270 compared to 194, so yeah, it's
It drops it a
like
little bit,
$8,000.
but it takes the amount that was paid by the truck, which is a capital expense, and it shifts it predominantly over to labor.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, at least, I mean, we gotta talk about it the way it's proposed. That's, I mean, we've got to do that. So, any questions on the general fire services budget? Everybody understands that the last truck payment to the west side falls off. That the proposal is to buy another one. For Scotney, the problem is that at least the initial financing package, and it's a long way from being done, took away 100,000, I think it was, by my memory, out of the 122,000, so it virtually leaves that dry. So the next truck down the road, we would almost have to consider putting a penny on the ballot for a reserve. And not, because if we don't, we need to think about that, that's all. Was there a question, Mike or Joe?
Well, I recall the Scotney Fire Department got. And Josh is right there. I think if he's still there, might be able to speak to this. I think, didn't that truck get bought early for Scotney for some reason? I almost want to say that I think it was supposed to be West Side that was getting one, but Scotney got it. But there was a reason for that. I remember that a little bit of that argument. And the reason I'm bringing this up is if that account that we would use for that is depleted, maybe we could work with the Scotney to push off that purchase for a couple of years and put some money back in that account. You know, ask the voters for some money before we make that purchase.
You're talking about for now to postpone the truck?
Yeah.
Did you freeze? Oh. I didn't know if your screen froze. No, I don't.
Well,
Go ahead.
As I was saying, I think the Scotney got a truck early the last time anyway. And I'm not talking about.
You're going back a ways in history, because if the west side's is what, it's a 5-year payment, I think, and so it's 6 years already because you don't start until the first year. Engine 7 is how old? It's got to be 5 or 6 years old now. Yeah. Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to explain to Mike, it's the 2013 that jumped ahead of West Side's engine 3, because the town had put $75,000 into a brand new truck and it was just a money pit. It's the 1996 or 1995 truck that we want to replace this year.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just wondering if it was possible to delay that a year or two so we could put some money back in that account.
I think, and I don't know the answer to that, but let's have that on the agenda for the next meeting about the truck itself. We gotta work our way through the budgets. I think, the problem with all of these things are, this falls into the same, part as the grader at Highway. They've gotten so expensive. That's the issue here. I mean, if things would be a lot easier if these things were like 100,000, because we'd probably say, okay, let's finance it and then put some down and work through it. But they've gotten up to 300,000 and 400,000, so that's the difficulty.
Right.
Are there any other questions on the general fire services or either the West Side or Scottney's annual budgets for now? Because that's what's on the agenda. Okay, let's move on to, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.
Let's move to,
Thank you, guys.
if you guys have any questions or clarification or whatever, you need to be with Brandon or hopefully before the 20th, and then we'll figure things out. Let's move to Highway. This morning, I sent off an email and I said, the weather, and they started school 2 hours late, and then I had spoken with Brandon somewhere in the middle of the day, and the highway crew came in at 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever it was this morning, and so I said to Brandon, if you're in conversation with Ray, I'm pretty sure that he's tired and he doesn't need to come in, so we wouldn't make any final decisions tonight. We could go through the papers, the line items if you wanted to. It's not fair to shoot questions back and forth because he's not here. As an overall goal, though, I think we have all agreed on that we've sorted out the pay raise and the HSAs, which affect the highway and the office staff, or anybody. So that's good. So that, I don't think we need to comment on those anymore. The ramifications of that, though, Brandon and I talked about a little bit today, so we need to be careful about these decisions, and I'm kind of glad we didn't finalize anything tonight. So the HSA decisions for all people run on a calendar year, not on a fiscal year. So the move we just made a meeting or two ago will be cashed on about January 2nd to all our people. That increase that we gave will go out and show as a deficit under the FY22 year. So we need to be careful sometimes about what we're doing, because things don't fall on a financial year which starts on July 1st to June 30th. And that particular one was January 1st. So for highway, I think at the last meeting when we took some of the discussion up, and I'll turn it over to Brandon here in 1 second, that we were trying to achieve a goal of having whatever the number was, shall the voters of Weathersfield approve, let's say, $1 million for highway services for FY23, of which a certain amount will be raised by taxes. I feel strongly that we can set the same amount that we've set now for 2 years in a row, because we've generated a surplus that we have to deal with, but I don't want to deal with it tonight because Ray's not here, in fairness. So I'm hoping that, having said all that, that the board is in agreement with that as a semi-goal. I know that Brandon and Ray have gone over the budgets. I know the budget committee did a little bit, but then that's kind of gone away as well. So why don't you, that might be about the limit, unless there are questions from board members that we should be going without Ray because of the weather. Do you have anything to add to what I said, Brandon, or Paul, or anybody?
I'm comfortable with the budget overall. We really worked through this. The biggest question at this point, and I think we should look at the general fund and the highway fund, which we'll be doing on the 20th, is the use of the fund balance and stabilizing the tax rate. You know, we have about 100 grand in surplus funding, and we'll have another surplus this year due to the same reasons we can't control. Additional state aid payments, we're not going to reject them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also, you know, similar to many other towns in the state of Vermont, which I learned from from several town manager meetings and conferences, we're all having the same issue. We have to budget for the number of guys that we want, the number of people on our highway crew, and if we can't fill the position, that ends up with a surplus at the end of the year. Additionally, when workers go out on a leave of absence for some reason, or you know, if somebody resigns, those are things we can't control. So it leads to surplus funding at the end of the year. In other cases, we could end up in a position where we have to use more overtime, and that hasn't been the case. So it could go either way. It just really depends. So I guess my concluding thoughts would be the budget itself looks good, but we need to determine how we want to spend the fund balance. The way that I've done it here is just using $40,835, and that would stabilize the same tax need and leave about 60 grand left. Reserves.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Reserves, we have 154,000 in highway equipment acquisition. We have 186,000 in highway capital maintenance and improvements. However, the reason that number is so high is because we haven't done the Kendrick's Corner Road paving project yet. So just keep in mind, 86,000 will come out of that.
How much?
$86,371.
Okay, we need to have that, I'm quickly looking at this, but we need to have that like documented out, because that is an unencumbered expense already.
I thought the purpose of approving that was to have that done right away. Did it not get done?
It did not move forward this winter.
Oh.
It's gonna go forward in the spring. So that's why our reserve account is showing a balance right now of 186,164.09.
It's really like 100,000.
But it's really 99,793.09. And the reason it's really that much is because 86,000, like Dave said, is encumbered for the Kendrick's Corner Road paving project. So what I can do for the next meeting is I can do it similar to how I did the solid waste budget. And I made like 8 different calculations depending on percentages of raises. I could do that same thing with the highway budget and provide 8 different ways the highway budget could be calculated with the use of fund balance. This way, when you have it in the next meeting, you'll be able to choose one of those options.
While this fund is separate, completely legally separate than the general fund, it does help for us to grab our arms around the financial position that we're in. So if we try to set the tax rate, this is my thoughts. So if we try to set the tax rate at the same amount, it's really hard for a voter to turn that down. In fact, they look at you in astonishment saying, how are you doing this for the same thing for like 3 years in a row? Well, the answer is in part what Brandon gave, where we've had some difficulty maintaining staff, but you can't like unbudget for staff. As a matter of fact, I've been coaching him to have a discussion with Ray. If we get a big storm and get bombed, we should be, and I think he's doing it in concert with Ray, asking a few private contractors if they'd like to, for instance, plow this building out or where they can help on an as-storm basis. We need to be prepared. We're not seeing the magic people apply for jobs. I think that'll resolve itself in time, but that doesn't help us on a storm that we may get bombed on. One of the things that well, I shipped Brandon off a copy of the law, and he reprinted it to me, and he said, yeah, you're right. There's a Vermont law that says highway funds that are left over, and I'm paraphrasing, shall be used the following year in the fashion that they were voted on by the voters. So we need to think creatively but aggressively, I think, to help us into the future on our budgets. So let's suppose for a moment that we have whatever Brandon just said, like $60,000 left over in highway to think about where we should be placing that and for the best strategic purpose for us to help us. Well, we just leased a brand new grader. It really would be a good, for 5 year, I think, was there a 5 or 7 year payment? I think
7 years.
So wouldn't it be really just astounding, for instance, and I don't know the per year rate, but wouldn't it be really, really nice if we had like a little separate line on a bank account that was prepaid for 2 years for that? It would completely help us on the FY '24 and '25 year budgets. And the money's already collected. It's a position of financial strength and forward thinking that is allowed by VLCT, because I know Mike Todd and I went to the meeting through it was years ago, but it still stuck with me. So what you try to do is use it for a line item for the previous year. Well, we have a line item that says lease payment on the grader for the previous year. We also have lines for salt, gravel, fuel, so those things could be prepaid to help us. It's just a thought. I don't want to make any decisions tonight because Ray's not here.
And I think that's a really good idea, and you and I haven't even really talked, I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but I didn't, you know, the greater lease payment is $16,429 a year. So if we prepaid it with surplus funds for FY '23 and FY '24, that would be $33,000.
And I'm not sure you can do that yet because we haven't talked to Caterpillar because it's a lease, so you can't just give them the money because I think that they do some things too. But I also remember that we put a significant amount of money down on that thing, wasn't it? We took $100,000 out of reserve to pay for that trade in addition to the trade. There was some kind of a package.
I think it was $115,000 that we put down on it.
I just use that for an example. So the next one down the line is, I mean, what is the next dump truck we're buying? Or there was a time, I don't know whether you here, Paul, but I know you were, Mike, when we had a surplus in the general fund and we outright paid for the last police cruiser.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I was not on the board, but I remember that.
Yep. So those kinds of things really give you strength to not raise taxes.
Yep.
And you're right, Brandon, when you said earlier that the state, and I anticipate it again, where we're going to get more state aid to highway because they got that big, I don't know what it was, $2 billion or something headed into the state to use. I know John Harrison has said that there is more money coming to highways as a plural, either in grants or in the annual state aids. So, and like you said, what are we going to do? Turn that money down? No. So, I think, is there any comments about this at all? Because we need to, I know Ray's not here and I've said enough. So it'll be on, maybe we should start our next meeting, I'm just throwing this out there, maybe we should start our next meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I don't know, something to think about, I don't want to, we seemed like we got a lot of open decisions to make. Fire's
I'm
gonna
good with
go.
that too.
Yep.
Joe?
Can you make it a 6 o'clock meeting, Joe?
No,
You can't?
no.
Okay. Then I don't want to, because I really want the full board, or maybe we'll have to have another meeting then, on a different night. Is the planning board now back to meeting on every other Monday?
They have been.
They have been?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll have to figure it out. some of these, it seems like the topics are getting, unless you can work out a plan with Ray about some kind of a compromise where we don't have to raise taxes and then we put whatever the surplus is before we get to the board.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty easy to do. I think Ray and I can meet this week, and like I said, I can show you several different ways we can use the fund balance.
Doesn't he have a proposal to buy a 1 ton?
Yes.
Okay, so we need to think about everything on the table.
Yeah.
Can we go to police? I know Bill's not here, but have you chatted with him about, I know nothing about this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, this is another budget that I'm very comfortable with. So, there is an overall budget increase from 304,000 to 314,000. And I mean, let's just take a look at workers' compensation for the police department budget, because that's really, it's outside of their control, and that's one of the lines that's increasing. So if you look at workers' compensation, for FY22, it was $15,588, and in FY23, it's going up to $21,773. So that's a $6,100 increase on their budget right there. So if you look at the tax need from 304 to 314, out of that 9497, 6,000 of that is workers' comp. The other 3,000, I mean, we increased personnel by 3%. So salaries increased by 5,000. We cut other areas in the budget to offset as much as we could. So the whole budget is only increasing by 3.02%.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
When you're in personnel, what's the VIBRS clerk?
So that's the clerk that works in the police office. She's been doing that for several years.
Long time.
Then,
Does all the administrative.
then I apologize, I did not know. I've been here, I'm embarrassed to say, I did
Martha,
not know
somebody.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe one day you can come in and say hi to her.
I
She's
should,
very nice.
I'm sorry about that, thank you.
So they have some specialized work that we don't delegate to our administration.
No problem.
There's some confidential
Yep,
administrative
absolutely.
police work that needs to be handled by a different type of clerk. And that clerk, it's about $8,000.
Are you
per
still
year.
there, Joe? No?
Yes.
Okay, good. Mike, you're there, right?
Yeah, we
Yes.
soon.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Have you guys had a chance to look at the police budget? I mean, I'd really like to get some stuff off the table, and this one looks pretty good. So I'd like a motion to pass the FY23 police budget as written and noted with the police department reserve account at 34, which is very good to me, very
Wait a
good
second.
news.
On the reserves.
Okay.
I talked to Steve Fire today,
Okay,
and I just said, hey Steve, I see the police cruiser reserve has $34,000 in it. Will any additional funds be removed from this account for the new police cruiser, or are we done paying for that? And Mr. Hire stated that we still have about $8,000 to charge to that line. It's currently charged in the FY22 budget. He needs to move it over, but he was out for a couple of weeks, so he's a little bit behind on moving some things around. So I believe this is around 25,000, but he'll be in to balance that account. So what I'm showing you is what's in there right now.
but I'm glad you said that, because, you know, that's almost a full cruiser, so that's another discussion for another day. I mean, we've got a lot to talk about in the next few meetings, none of which is the auditors have weighed in on the account for uncollected balances. Okay, so Brandon, I'll ask him to ship out a memo dealing with that for the board before the next meeting.
Balances.
Yeah, taxes.
Okay.
But that'll be, you told me before that the auditors will probably have something by the 20th or something. You and I both know what that is.
Yep. Yes.
Can I have a motion then to pass the police budget as presented for the FY23 from the board?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the FY22-23 police budget as presented. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Is that a yes?
No,
Oh,
that was just a delay.
oh, I'm sorry.
I'm in favor.
I'm sorry. Did you vote, Joe? You want to vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. Good. Conservation Commission policy, this is the third reading, so this is the adoption. Has there been any questions from the board or from Ryan or whatever that we need to go through, or can we just have a motion on the table to
There was
accept?
one minor adjustment to change one word from protect to conserve. So everything's ready to go.
Okay, I'd like a motion to approve the,
I'm gonna say I disagree. No. Hey, Dave,
okay, go ahead.
I disagree with that change.
Okay. Do you happen to know where the change is, Brandon?
Yep, if you go to purpose and mission,
But what page is it?
just the first page.
Oh, on your
The
thing.
Conservation Commission is organized pursuant to Title 34, Chapter 118 of the Vermont statutes annotated to identify, conserve, and preserve natural, scenic, and historic resources in the town of Weathersfield. And the change was to identify, protect, and preserve. So the
It used to be protect, they're changing it to conserve, correct?
correct.
And I disagree with that.
Is there a reason why they did that?
Yeah.
Does that mean like that now they have a preset kind of a mindset to go into something saying that, wait a minute, we're gonna reserve stuff now as part of our mission?
But doesn't preserve and do that too?
Oh, no, I know, but this is, but conserve means a little stronger word, doesn't it? Isn't that a little stronger than, no, there's so many words in here.
Well,
Protect, identify.
I think protect is a pretty strong word too.
Let me take a look at the statutes really quick here. Can you call out that statute, Mike? BSA?
34, chapter 118. And it doesn't, section.
Okay, so let's see here.
Organization is 4502, so maybe it's somewhere really close to that.
4502 conservation.
Okay, I'm gonna make a judgment right here, right now. I'm going to say there's a question in the wording, and I'm going to say that there's going to be a continuance for the 20th meeting, because Ryan's not here, and if we're questioning the wording in something, then it's a little unfair, and you guys need to research it a little bit more before. So I'm going to say that this is going to be continued to a date certain, which is December 20th for a continued third reading. Okay?
Yep.
There's a question, and we're getting put on the spot here, and we don't have a clear answer, and that's
Nope.
enough.
Totally fine.
The future agenda is gonna be loaded.
Definitely a good way to put
We've
it.
got, and I sent an email out to Brandon, hoping that we were gonna get some stuff off the table, and we did something, that's good. I mean, I think for the most part, the highway is done. We just have to decide what we're doing with the reserves. The police is done, the fire is not done. And, our photographs are done.
And what is this?
It'll be a little painful.
But one of the things that are coming right up really fast is ARPA funds, and, but, I'm concerned about that, but now we're getting, like, Homeland Security, so I'm a little apprehensive and want to be thoughtful about planning so that we don't blow an opportunity to recover some things that we may need, like here in Martin Hall with a generator and some systems here that are gonna be allowed under the Homeland Security, which they are, and then use up our ARPA money, which we've already gotten half of, so we don't wanna trip over ourselves. On the other hand, we do need to move forward with that, though I think the ARPA funds are saying that we don't have to use, that half of the money's already here in the bank,
It is.
and so it's here.
So we have no cash flow issues right now.
And then, but we have to expend them by FY '20, no, actually the year 2023. So it's like, so the nervousness about we may lose the money isn't happening because it was allocated.
It is.
Yes.
It's in our account.
Yes.
There's one other thing. Tyler Harwell wrote a letter.
Yep.
If anybody wants to give that a read, send me an email with any questions or concerns.
There's a whole lot of, if you have a chance to read that, I got it in email form. There's a whole lot apparently that he doesn't know. For instance, he doesn't know how big.
I was gonna say, it doesn't include 108 acres in that, this
Right.
comment, okay.
Right, so,
I was concerned when I read it. I read it when I got here and I was like, what?
and they're 4 separate parcels, so he
Oh,
doesn't, he
okay.
doesn't know some things.
I didn't know that,
Completely,
okay.
completely apart from each other. There's one deed, but he's not accurate.
Okay,
So, and the other thing, excuse me, the other thing that we're not doing is, we are not, seeing a camp that is in the middle of the town forest and we're getting the fire department to go light it on fire. That is not happening. Okay, that's part of this letter.
And it's the VORAC grant that we submitted to the state that will remove that cabin.
Yeah, we're not lighting something on fire like in the middle of the woods.
No,
That's
you're not.
not happening.
Darn it.
So, no.
If you are, please let me be there.
We need to pass the warrant, so I'm just telling you right now that we're gonna be full of budget issues for the 20th. I don't wanna cloud up the agenda, that we need to get done with this, sign the warnings, then we can move on to ARPA and some other discussions about what we're doing. Need to do the warrants.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the warrant for December 6th, 2021 for general fund, payroll is $24,580.53. Operating expense is $62,600.13. Highway payroll is $10,352.45. Operating expense is $53,291.94. Solid Waste Management Fund, payroll is $2,510. Operating expense is $15,923.50. Library payroll is $2,943.52 and 0 operating expense. And then for grand totals of payroll, $40,376.60 and operating expenses $131,815.57.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the warrants dated December 6, 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion to adjourn, please.
I said aye.
Yep, good.
Motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.